All right, this is pre-algebra lesson 5.4, which is multiplying and dividing fractions. Stuff you've been doing since 3rd, 4th grade, but now we just add a little element of variables. It's nothing that is outrageous for you. First of all, let's talk about this. How do you multiply 3/7 times 4/5? What do I do? How do you multiply fractions? It's super simple. How do I multiply fractions? Yeah, you just multiply the top and you multiply the bottom, right? 3 times 4. You're all up here with me, right? 3 times 4 is 12. 7 times 5 is 35. I'm going to... Real simple, straightforward. At that point, you would reduce... I will show you something else. What about this? What if I give you this? 9/15 times 5/9. You always can do this. You can just go with 9 times 5 is 45. 15 times 9 is 135. And you could say, okay, now I can reduce this. And that's where things get a little ugly. Agreed? Yeah. You can always prevent having to reduce big, ugly ones if you will do what? Cross cancel, right? Cross multiply, cross cancel. Here's the deal. Look, tell me, what is the difference between 9 times 5 and 5 times 9? Okay, so then what's the difference between 9/15 times 5/9 and 5/15 and 9/9? What's the difference between those two problems? Look at them. Is the answer going to be any different? No, because it's 5 times 9, 5 times 9. You see what I'm saying? Therefore, and you can reduce 9 over 9 to being just 1, which means the answer is going to be 5/15, which you can reduce to 1/3. But you don't need to do all that. You can just go, okay, you could take any numerator and reduce it with any denominator. The only time you can do this is if it's a string of multiplication, right? If it's a string of multiplication, you can reduce these things if there is a numerator and a denominator that can be reduced. Like, I can divide this by 9 and this by 9, and they both become 1s, right? And then I can divide this by 5 and this by 5, and that becomes a 1, that becomes a 3. Now I go 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 1 is 3, and I'm done. If you will cross cancel as far as you can before, you will not have to reduce a big number. You won't have to reduce at all. Does that make sense? Okay. You guys try one right now. Try 2/3 times 6/7. Just do that really quick. All right, here we go. So what could you do if you wanted? What would be you could just go 2 times 6 is 12, 21st, and then go, okay, now I have to reduce that. Or you can go, okay, what can be reduced here? Can the 2 and the 3 be reduced? No. Can the 6 and the 7 be reduced? No. What about the 2 and the 7? No. What about the 6 and the 3? Yeah. Divide by 3, divide by 3. That becomes a 2, that becomes a 1. And now we go 2 times 2 is 4 over 7, 4/7. If I reduce this, I would go divide by 3, divide by 3, 4/7. It's the same thing. It's just this is more, especially when you get to the big numbers, it can get ugly, right? Okay, let's do a big ugly one then. Let's go 15 28 times 14 25ths. Let's do a big ugly one. See what you guys come up with. So here, I could do 15 times 14. Does anybody want to do 15 times 14? No. That's 210. You don't want to have to, so that would be 210. And then 28 times 25, and oh man, that's 725. But what? Yeah. But anyway, let's not do that. Let's go, okay, can these guys be reduced? No. Can these guys be reduced? No. Can these? Yes. Yeah, divide by 14. Divide by 14. That becomes a 1, that becomes a 2. Divide by 5, divide by 5, that becomes a 3, and this becomes a 5. 3 times 1 is 3/10, right? How many of you got 3/10? Should all have gotten 3/10. No?
No. I think I went wrong.
I wouldn't go the long way. That's the whole point. Why do you think I gave it?
I got 5 21.
No. What about this one? Negative 5/15 times 21/25. What's the difference between this? There's a negative here, right? Everybody has to recognize there's a negative there. So is that a problem? We're going to take a negative times a positive. My answer is going to be a negative. So then everything's the same. Everything's the exact same. We just know that a negative times a positive is a negative. So my answer is going to be negative something. That's it. Everything else is the same. Okay, so you would go divide by 5, divide by 5. This is a 1. This is a 3. Am I done? Why not? What can I do? What can I do? What can I cross cancel? Divide by 3, divide by 3. That's a 7. This is a 1. And that comes up to 7/5, right? So negative 7/5. 25ths, right? 7/25, right? Now, you know how I reduced this, the 5 and the 15? Could I have reduced the 5 and the 25? Yeah, I could have. I could have. So 5/15 times 21/25. I could have reduced this, divide by 5, divide by 5. That becomes a 1, this becomes a 5. Divide by 3, divide by 3. This is a 5, this is a 7. It still comes out to 7/25. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter which way you do it. You'll get there. You'll get there. Okay, here's one. See if you guys can do this. 2x over 9 times 3 over 4. You should be able to do this, no problem. All right, so here we go. We have a variable there. Whoop-de-doo, right? Can I reduce anything here? Can I reduce anything here? Here? Yes. I can divide both the top and the bottom by? Divide by 2, divide by 2. What does that give me here with this? What does that make this? Just an x, right? I don't put a 1. You just put an x, right? So it leaves me with just an x. And then 4 divided by 2 is a 2. And then I can reduce this here. Divide by 3, divide by 3. That's a 1, that's a 3. That leaves me with an x and a 1 on top. Do I put 1x? Is that what I do? You never put a 1 there. It's redundant. Over 6. X over 6. Does that make sense? How many of you got that? Only 2 of you? Do you see what I did here? Are you all watching what I did? But do you see what I did? Were you paying attention when I just did this? Kinda. Do another one then. If you guys paid attention, then this should be no problem. Times you know how to do this. You'd be done. Here we go. 3y over 4. Can I reduce either one of those? Can I reduce these? Can I reduce these? Yeah, what can I divide both of those by?
3.
Divide by 3, divide by 3. What is 3y divided by 3?
Y.
They're gone. That leaves me with just y. And then 9 divided by 3 is 3. Those two divide by 4, divide by 4. This is a 2, this is a 1. That leaves me with y times 2 on the top. Do I put y times 2 on the top? Is that how I do it? 2y over 3. How many of you got that? Still no, Jack? Not yet? You're not getting it? What if I have this? 3 1/4 times 1 2/13. No, we'll say it 3/13. 1 3/13. What do I do with this? What do I do with it? You have to, in order to do this, you have to
Make the mixed number improper.
right. So remember how to make mixed numbers improper fractions. You multiply this. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 1 is 13 fourths. Right? Do you remember how to do this? You've been doing this since like 4th, 5th grade. And then here you go 13 times 1 is 13 plus 3 is 16 thirteenths, right? When I do this, I go, can I reduce this now?
Yes.
Divide by 13, divide by 13, they're both ones. Divide by 4, 1 and 4. The answer would be 4 over 1, which is just 4. Okay, you know how to do that. Now, let's talk about division. Division, here's the deal. How do you divide fractions? Like if you have 1/3 divided by 1/2. How do you divide fractions? You ready for this? No. How do you divide fractions? Kind of. What were you going to say?
Is it the thing where you
You don't. The answer is you don't. You never divide fractions. You never divide fractions, right? What do?
You flip and multiply.
You multiply by its
Denominator.
You multiply by its reciprocal. What's the word?
Reciprocal.
Learn that word. Reciprocal. C-L-E? C-L. Reciprocal? I don't know. Reciprocal? I don't know.
It's like
Reciprocal.
reciprocal.
Rocal. Okay. C-A-L. Yeah, you multiply by its reciprocal, which means what? What is a reciprocal? Flipped over, right? So then here's the deal. When I ask you this, if I say, okay, so how do we divide this fraction? Your answer is, you don't. You don't divide fractions. You multiply by its reciprocal. 1/3 times, flip it over, 2 over 1, which now we can do 2/3. Does that make sense? Remember this? So there's really nothing new there's not a whole lot more to teach here, other than you have to remember, you never divide fractions. You multiply by its reciprocal. So here, try one. 2x over 3 divided by, 4/5. Do that for me, please. So how do I divide these fractions? How do you divide them? You don't. That's the answer. You don't. You never divide fractions. You multiply by its reciprocal. So it's 2x over 3 times reciprocal 5/4. Can I reduce anything here? Yep, I can reduce those guys, right? Divide this by 2, divide this by 2. Those are gone. That leaves me with just the x, and this is a 2, so that I have 5x on top and 6 on the bottom, right? 5x over 6. How many of you got that? What did you do wrong?
I left the 2 there.
Yeah, no, you eliminated that 2, but you forgot to eliminate that one. Okay, try another one. Let's go find one on the page that is, okay, negative 6n over 7 divided by n over 3. Oh, here we go. You're watching. Regardless, you're watching now. So how do I divide these fractions?
You don't.
So she's the only one who knows that answer. How do you divide these fractions? You don't. Why not? Because we never divide fractions, right? We never divide fractions. Negative 6n over 7 times what? 3 over n. What can I reduce this by? What can be reduced here? The n's, right? I'm going to divide both the top. Divide this by n, right? They're gone. And that leaves me with 1's, right? That leaves me with 1. So it's 6 times 1. This is just 6. 6 times 3 is 18 over 7, which you can leave, or you can make it 2 4/7.
Wasn't it negative?
Negative, right? Yeah, the whole thing's negative. Did anybody get that? Okay. Try 4 over 9x divided by negative 2 over 3x. Eyes up here now. So what is the rule about dividing fractions? What's the rule? You don't. Oh. So what do you do then instead?
You multiply.
Multiply by what, Brad?
The reciprocal. Huh? Oh, you divide the reciprocal?
You divide the reciprocal?
No, you
multiply the reciprocal, right? You multiply it by its reciprocal, right? So 4 over 9x times reciprocal negative 3x over 2. Yes?
Yep.
What can I reduce?
No, we're fine.
What?
I like
What can I reduce?
it.
I can reduce the x's, right? Divide this by x, divide this by x. The x's are gone. I can go divide this by 3, divide this by 3. That's a 3. That's a 1. And then I can go divide this by 2, divide this by 2. That's a 2. This is a 1. And that leaves me with 2 times 1 is 2. Over 3 times 1 is 3. 2/3. How many of you got 2/3? Thank you. See? That's huge. Negative 2/3. Did you get that? I'm pausing this really quick. Your homework.